A lot of people think you need to spend all day running around to make money from Airbnb. You've got to be driving in between properties, speaking to cleaners, back and forth messages between guests, and there's lots of hours involved just to keep the business running. But that's very far from the truth. I've been running an Airbnb business now for 4 years. We do way over £60,000 a month, but I probably work less than 4 hours a day. Honestly speaking, it's probably closer to 1 or 2. But the reason why I wanted to make this video is because I feel like there's a misconception out there that Airbnb is a lot of stress and it's not worth the headache. I was at an event a couple of weeks ago that was aimed at beginners looking to get started in property. And a common theme I was seeing amongst the people there is that serviced accommodation and Airbnb is more problematic than other property strategies such as rent to social housing or rent to HMO. But that honestly couldn't be further from the truth. But I feel like the issue is that people don't know how to build a business that's not going to give them the stress because of hearing stories from other people or failed operators, other people that have had a lot of issues when trying to manage their units. Because at the end of the day, no one wants to build themselves a business that requires them to work 12, 14 hours a day. As much as a lot of entrepreneurs will tell you, you've got to work in your garage, work in your basement, literally on monk mode from dark to dark. But realistically, that's no business owner started their business because that's what they wanted. And you don't necessarily have to go down that route, especially with Airbnb. You just need to be able to do things right. I think I'm a big believer of you need to build a business around the lifestyle that you want to have. So if you want freedom, then you need to build your business and set your business up in a way that's actually going to give you that. Otherwise, you're just going to create yourself a full-time job and you're just going to end up completely hating the business that you built for yourself. And when I say this, is because I was in that position a couple of years ago. It's only really in the last year or so where I felt like I've actually been running a proper business, not something that if I was to go away for a couple of days or go away for a week, God knows where the business would be. It doesn't require me to literally hold the business up and do all the manual work and micromanage every single detail within the business. That's not what you want. Like this year, I've been fortunate to travel quite a lot. I was in Asia for several weeks where the time zone is way ahead of the UK. And had I been doing the same tasks I was doing a couple of years ago, it wouldn't have been a holiday while I was there. In fact, the months that I was traveling have been some of the most profitable months for us as a business throughout this summer. So that's the reason why I wanted to make this video, to basically show you how you can make the money you want to be making, but in a systemized way where it's not requiring you to literally work all around the clock just to keep the lights on. So I'm going to walk you through exactly some of the systems that I've implemented in my business and what I'd highly recommend everyone else do when building out their own Airbnb business. So the first step in order to systemize is to actually just sit down and look at all the moving parts within the business. Once you do that, you can then build a reliable and repeatable process that you can follow each time that task needs to be completed. For example, you're cleaning or speaking to your guests, uploading a new listing, onboarding a new property. There's so many different tasks, responsibilities and things that need doing. You need to just create a system around all of it. And one of the first things I'd actually start off by doing is actually creating what we call a troubleshoot guide or a contingency plan. Now what that is basically just creating a plan for when things go wrong. Because it's business, there's always going to be things that go wrong, things that mess up and don't go to plan. But you don't want to be in a situation where things go wrong and now you're kind of scratching your head, flapping about, thinking what you could do to fix the issue. If you can preempt and plan for all the things that could potentially go wrong and write down how you would fix that problem and the resolution, when that problem does arise, then you can deal with it with speed and then you can get things solved and move forward a lot quicker. It's very important when it comes to Airbnb because the business is hospitality based. Your guests are going to be expecting a certain service. So you don't want things to go wrong within the property or there's an issue and then you're taking a couple of days or a week to get it fixed. It needs to be done promptly, it needs to be done quickly. People are expecting a top service. And that was one of the issues that we ran into when we first started, is that issues would pop up and we didn't have a clue about how we would actually solve it. So we'd have to sit down, think, which was just wasting more time. If you can preempt everything that could go wrong beforehand, in theory, you should be prepared for all situations. Now, of course, there will be certain situations that you could never have planned for, which is completely fine. Then you just learn from it. And then you also add that into your contingency plan for next time. So you know if that issue does pop up, this is what we've done to resolve the issue. And this is what we should do again in the future. Now, the next thing is implementing something called a channel manager. Now, I think this is a must-have for any Airbnb business owner. What this is essentially a platform or a software that will connect your listings on different websites, like on Airbnb, Booking.com, VRBO. And what it will do is it will synchronize the calendar across all of these different platforms so it stops you from getting double booked. That'll be a massive issue if you get double booked. You've got to cancel someone's getting let down, there's issues, people leave you bad reviews and all sorts of things like that. So it just means you don't have to be on top of managing your calendar. It syncs everything up nicely. If you make any changes to your listing, it will automatically update on all the listings across all the different websites as well. What it also does is allows you to have full visibility over your business as well. I think the numbers are the most important part to any business. You need to see where your money's coming from. So what it will do is actually give you a calendar page where you can literally see years out ahead where all your bookings are coming from, on which particular day, how much people are paying. So that way you can see where you've got gaps, what days you need to fill up, what your occupancy looks like. So it's just like a really good way to have visibility over where your money's at and how your properties are performing. It also has lots of other functionalities as well, which kind of leads me into my next point, which is all about guest messaging. So your guests are probably one of the most important stakeholders in your business. Those are the people that are actually going to pay you. So it's important that you look after them, communicate well with your guests, and give them a great experience while they're staying at one of your properties. So in order to do that, one of the easiest things you can do is set up automated messaging. And this is actually a function that becomes available within your channel manager system, but it just means that it reduces your workload and then you can improve your guest experience. Now, the way in which you do this is basically set up automated message sequences to fire off messages at different points throughout the guest stay. So from the moment they book, they may get a confirmation message thanking them for their reservation. You'll also send another one just before they check in, or maybe after they've arrived, and then after they leave as well. All the bits of information a guest may need about checking into the property, or any information maybe about the parking or receiving their damage deposit back, you can put it all into automated messaging so people have a constant flow of information and it keeps your guests happy and satisfied. Now, the reason why it's so important is because it also reduces the number of questions and reasons for guests to contact you. So that way, once you do have all these messages set up, unless it's something really specific or a certain inquiry or request, there shouldn't really be any reason for the guest to actually contact you because you've automated all the communication. And leading on from there, you can also use AI to actually help you message as well. So we're in 2025 now, AI is becoming more involved in multiple industries and it's no different within the property space. What you can actually do is implement AI into your guest messaging so it will respond on your behalf. You basically train the AI on your property so it understands all the amenities you have, how to use all the different facilities and services, all the information about the property. So therefore it can start responding to guests on your behalf. And that's going to free up so much time because now you don't have to get involved with any of the guest communication, which is a big part of the business. You can even feed the AI your contingency plan and troubleshoot guides like what we spoke about before. So that way when there's issues, the AI will try to resolve it with the guest. And if there is anything further than that, then that's when you have to jump in. But at least you now know that the only time where you need to actually get involved in any communication between your guests is when there's like a serious issue. But touch wood, hopefully you should be fine. And now the next thing, this is often overlooked, but it's actually one of the most important things. And it's having a good power team around you. Having good people on your team that are going to support and help you manage your properties. The most important being your cleaners. They are literally your eyes on the ground, your boots on the ground that are going to run around and deal with all the things and cleaning at your property. They're the people that are going to get your property set up, get it cleaned and ready for each guest that comes through the door. So they have a lot of responsibility within your business, and therefore you need to make sure you've got good quality cleaners on your team that can help you manage this part of the business. If you have a cleanliness issue at your property, that's going to fall back on you. That's going to be your reputation that gets affected because that negative review is going to go on your account or on your Google profile, whatever it might be. By default, those cleaners, even though they may not be employed by you, they're an extension of your business. So it's so important that you get the right person on the job. And if you need to, you can't hesitate to have to fire a cleaner. But once you have a good one on board, it's then about creating a good system and line of communication between you so that you can inform them the schedule ahead of time. So one of the things you can actually do is give them access to your channel manager system so they can also see the calendar. That way they can organize themselves ahead of time. But you also need to create a system and way of you being able to see what the property looks like before and after they complete the clean as well. That way you know if the property was left in a bad state and you can charge your guests for it, and to ensure that the property has been thoroughly cleaned and it's in a good standard and state for your next set of guests as well. So building a good cadence with your cleaners is so important because a guest may walk into your property and the Wi-Fi might be a little bit slow, or they could have had a couple of issues here and there with minor things, but they won't overlook the cleaning. Your cleanliness is such an important part. If someone walks in and they see a hair on the bed, then it's just going to create like a negative association with your property and the whole experience from the get-go. And then they're more likely to complain about other things down the line. But if cleanliness is on point, then they can sometimes overlook if there's been any other issues with their stay. And then the last thing that you need is some sort of a dynamic pricing tool. When it comes to running an Airbnb, you need to make sure that your prices are what we call like dynamic, meaning they change and fluctuate. They don't just stay the same all year round, because there'll be certain days where you can get a higher price than other days, basically down to like demand, maybe the type of day it is, the season we're in, and that sort of thing. Instead of you having to do all these dynamic pricing changes yourself, going in, updating your calendar on your channel manager, what you can do is actually buy a software that will do it all for you. Now, there's quite a few out there that can do this task, but this is going to reduce so much time within your business, because what it will enable you to do is get the best price for each particular day. So that way you can start maximizing your earning potential from your property. Because instead of maybe earning £150 on a Saturday night, the software can tell you, you can actually get £250 for this particular day. This system, although it's an investment, it kind of pays for itself because it earns you more money. So I think one of the most important things within the business is just revenue management as a whole. Again, money is the most important thing within business because that's why we start it. Being on top of how you're generating your money, how you're setting your prices is a really important aspect. And by getting a dynamic pricing tool that you connect to your channel manager, it just takes all of that workload away from you. I'm not saying it's completely set and forget, but all you need to do is just maintain the system, check over it a couple of times a week, maybe override a few dates here and there. But other than that, it's going to work pretty seamlessly and give you the best possible price for each day. So by implementing those systems within your business and you get them dialed in, you'll be amazed at how much time it actually frees up in your business and things will start running like clockwork. A lot of people start this business with the mindset of, I'm just going to do it the way I want to do it for now. And then when I start taking on a few more deals, I'll then start to look into systemize things and sort out processes. But that's the backward mindset. You want to start the business on the right path with the right systems in place so that you can grow sustainably and organically. Not trying to implement things later down the line, because it becomes harder to implement new systems when you've been working for a certain type of way. Even like working with your cleaners, for example, we've had times where we've tried to implement a new system with our cleaners after a certain amount of time. There's a little bit more pushback, there's a bit more friction trying to implement new things. And from speaking to a lot of people who started their Airbnb journey and then gave up and gave the properties back because it was headache or too much for them to manage, the biggest common thing is not having that systemization there. So my biggest advice is build the systems from day one if you want to build a sustainable Airbnb business. Because at the end of the day, you want to build a business you actually enjoy running. Getting up in the morning, knowing that you're running your Airbnbs, it's enjoyable, you like the business, and that's going to rub off on everyone that's around you, whether that be your power team or even like speaking to your guests. The last thing you want to do is be dreading picking up the phone because you don't have to speak to a guest because you know they've got an issue late night, because that's just going to translate into the service you provide for people, and it's just going to be like a negative spiral for your business. But if you look forward to waking up every day, working on your business, you'll be amazed at how much further you can go and the results that you will get. And like I said at the start of the video, in this last year and a half, I've really been able to kind of see the fruits of all the labor and the hard work that I put in the first couple of years within the business. I now feel like a proper business owner where I could go away for a month knowing that the business is still going to be ticking over, making the same amount of money that it should be. And that's really ultimately the place that everyone else should be looking to get to as well. So if you're someone who's looking to systemize their current Airbnb business, or maybe you're starting out from scratch, you want to do things right, so you're not building a business you hate or building yourself another full-time job, then book in a meeting with the link below and I can show you how you can build a profitable, lean Airbnb business for yourself. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.